Hello everyone, welcome back to the Boudoir. Today's episode is a special treat because we have a very fun series ahead of us right now. I was thinking, alright, because you know how all of these like new age feminists will say like, oh, the reason why women these days are so male-centered is because of all the media. I mean, look at these Disney princesses that are basically just telling a bunch of young girls to sit there and in your sleep a kiss will be placed upon you by the most fairest prince of them all, and you know, all of this stuff, right? And you know what, it's kind of true. I feel like a lot of that critique is very valid, but part of me was also like, is it really all of this, or do we need to like go back with some fresh, mature eyes and like really see what's going on here for ourselves? That's what I am going to be doing. I am taking it upon myself to watch all of the original Disney princess movies, starting with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, 1937. So there are 9 original Disney princess movies. I am not doing anything post-millennium, so we're not doing Tangled, we're not doing Princess and the Frog, and none of that stuff. We're only doing the OG girly girls. Princess Jasmine, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, all of that, okay? So if you are interested in that and you want to buckle in, I don't know if we're gonna do these like 9 episodes consecutively. We're probably gonna like break it up a little bit just so that we don't get too, you know, Disney heavy, okay? Because this is gonna be a lot. But I'm also very excited because I haven't watched these movies since I was literally like 5 years old. So it's been a while since I've watched these movies. When I was watching Snow White, I literally felt like a little kid again. Like I was just cuddled up under my blankies, just feeling like a kid, watching this beautiful princess, you know, go on her little magical journey. So I'm definitely having fun with this, bringing out my inner child a little bit. The main reason why we are doing this series, the main reason why we're going back in time and watching all of these movies from start to finish is because I want to hear these things out, right? All media is not 1000% bad. While things can be propaganda, propaganda doesn't necessarily mean 1000% bad. It's just messaging that's being pushed. It's fair to say that the common theme in all of these Disney princess movies is if you just are the fairest of them all, if you're the most beautiful little princess in the land, your prince will come and sweep you off your feet and you will live happily ever after. The end. Just be nice, just be gracious, and just have a beautiful smile on your face and your time will come. So that's the whole gist, that's the whole theme. But of course, it's deeper than that. Each of these 9 movies, well, they probably do have that overarching theme of like one true love and all that stuff. There are some lessons we can learn, okay? If you're inquisitive enough and if you're interested in learning, anything can be a lesson, all right? We can take a lesson from any piece of media. I have my trusty dusty notes here. We're gonna go through everything I thought, and this is going to be very fun for me because a little piece of Ieasha lore. I went to college for communications, TV, and media studies, so I did a lot of like film classes where we would have to like analyze films and write papers on it. So this is my zhuzh, this is my wheelhouse right here. So I'm so excited to like go back to that part of myself and dig into my cinephile bag. All right, so without further ado, here we are, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, directed, produced, made, everything, owns everything, Walt Disney. So before we start, we need a little bit of context, okay? Because you know, here on the Boudoir, we don't just do things, all right? Everything needs a little bit of context, just a little bit of history. We're in 1937, right? We're fresh in the Great Depression. Everybody knows about the Great Depression, that stock market crash. People were standing in lines waiting for soup. There was this promise of the American dream that all of these, you know, people who immigrated here wanted on Ellis Island, all of the people who were native to this place. I use that word loosely, but like, you know, people who live here and work here were all fighting for that American dream. Everybody was looking for that slice of the pie, right? We saw all of these great things in the Roaring 20s where people were just having these extravagant parties. Think Great Gatsby. We're in Prohibition. People are still trying to have their fun and they're swinging and they're flapping and they're doing their thing, right? I don't know, I wasn't there. This is just what I imagine they were doing. So we're in the Great Depression, right? All of that happened, the stock market crashed, you know, people are looking for work, people are willing to do anything for a place to stay and to just survive and live for the next day. What are you gonna do in this era? You're obviously gonna want some things that give you hope, right? Like, we're not gonna just sit here miserable all day. We might be miserable in real life, but we need a little bit of escapism. So then this man, Walt Disney, comes along and he's like, you know what? I got something for the girls, okay? And the little children, whoever wants to watch this, but I got something for y'all, right? And then he comes out with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which is a remake of the original Brothers Grimm fairy tale, Snow White. So everybody's like, oh my gosh, this movie is incredible. It came out, to be exact, on December 21st. And just for some some little fun facts because I love a good fun fact. Other things that came out that same year was Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. I'm sure you guys have all read that in high school. And To Have and to Have Not by Ernest Hemingway. So other pieces of literature that were very popular that we still talk about till this day also came out in that year. Very interesting. And the president at the time was FDR. 1937 was also the same year that Amelia Earhart disappeared across the Pacific Ocean, which is crazy. Like, all of these things were happening at the same time. So we got a lot going on, but at the end of the year, right before Christmas, Walt Disney drops this film, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and everybody is losing it, okay? And can I just say, before we really get into like the meat and potatoes of this discussion, what a beautiful movie. Like, do you ever think about how these people back in the day were animating stuff? Like, they were literally drawing it by hand, piece by piece, frame by frame. The colors are beautiful. If you see me looking, it's because I have it on in the background right now, just with no sound. But like, everything is so cute. The animals are cute, the little bunnies, the little deer. I love how whimsical it is. Like, I think I truly forgot how to be whimsical like that because it just has that nostalgic feeling that you can't get rid of it. Like, it's just a part of everybody's childhood, and I loved watching it. Like, it made me feel so warm and fuzzy. All right, so it starts off with a little camera shot of the actual storybook of like Once Upon a Time, blah blah blah, in a magical forest, whatever, of Snow White, and then we see the evil queen standing in front of the magic mirror, and she's like, who's the fairest of them all? So, you know, normally the evil queen, who is Snow White's stepmother, normally she is the fairest of them all. Every time she asks this magic mirror, he's always like, girl, it's you. Like, come on, who else is it gonna be? You're the fairest of them all. And let's just be fair, she did have a sickening face card. Like, you can't deny that. Her nails were on point, the eyebrows were on point. She looked incredible. And that's just something you can't deny. Like, I gotta give the girls their 10s when 10s are due. The face card was eating, so we're just gonna say that right there and there. But then another time she went back to the mirror, and then the mirror was like, girl, this time it's not you, it's Snow White. I fear that it's your stepdaughter, it's not you this time. And she was not having that. The evil queen was not feeling it, so she sends this knight guy, I don't even know who he is, she sends this dude to go and unalive Snow White in the forest. Like, who does this? This is your own stepdaughter. But you know, people be haters out here. This is why you gotta watch the circle and the friends you keep, because you never know who's plotting on your downfall. So then the guy goes to unalive Snow White, but he's like, I can't do this to you. Like, you're sweet, you're innocent, you're like this cute little girl. I'm not gonna do this to you.
And I feel success coming up behind it, but I also feel lots of opposition. There's some people that's in your circle that's telling you that they're your friends and they're talking against your future.
So he, you know, tricks the evil queen and goes back, and then he just tells Snow White, you better run and get out of here. So that's exactly what she does. In her heels, she is sprinting through that forest, okay? And my sister is going through it, all right? There's lakes and rivers and streams that she has to cross over in that dress. And, you know, she did not let go of that dress, not once, okay? She was not gonna let that dress get dirty. So then she befriends all of these cute little animals in the forest, and they help her find this cottage who happens to belong to the Seven Dwarfs. Okay, she comes into this place and she's like, this place is a pigsty. Like, who is laying their head here at night? Apparently these 7 dudes were. So she's like, I'm gonna clean this up because I cannot lay my head down until this place is spotless. I'm gonna put some food on the stove. We're gonna get this place cleaned up. I did not fail to notice that she gave all of those little animals the hardest tasks. Okay, she was having them clean up like hundreds of dishes, putting stuff away, and then her only job was the easiest. She just had to sweep. Okay, but that's neither here nor there. So then, you know, they clean up this thing, and then she takes a nap because she's exhausted. Eventually the dwarves come back and they're like, oh my god, it's this beautiful princess, oh my god. So they become friends, and you know, Grumpy's not having it. He's like, Grumpy's a little bit of an incel. I'm not even gonna hold you. Like, he was giving me incel vibes. He was not liking her. And actually, you can't really blame him, because it's like, who is this random chick in my home? You know, where's your parents? Stranger danger. But you know, she's a child, so you gotta have some leeway there. But whatever, eventually they get over it. They all become friends. The evil queen comes back disguised as this grotesque looking hag witch person, and she tricks Snow White into eating the poisonous apple. Ugh, you know, who does that? And so she ends up being unalived for a little bit, and the only thing that can bring her back to life is her one true love's first kiss. And so just in the nick of time, after everything is all said and done, the prince finally meanders on down and kisses Snow White, and she wakes up, she's alive, everybody's happy, and they all lived happily ever after. And that's the movie. I hope you enjoyed that synopsis. Let's talk about Snow White's personality. So she, I believe in the movie, is supposed to be like 14 or 15 years old, something like that. Like she's a early teenager, let's just say. She, first of all, her little character design is so cute. Like her red lips are so, like she just looks so adorable. I always liked Snow White, you know. I know people say like, oh, she's just way too nice. I always kind of rocked with her. She has a very like sweet but also sassy personality. I'm not even gonna say sassy. Like she's sweet, but she's also very assertive, I noticed. Like she wasn't really that much of a pushover. A tad bit naive, of course, you know, with the whole Apple thing. But she actually was able to like hold her own, especially when it came to Grumpy. Like, I don't know, she was just laying the law down. She was like, you guys are not gonna get any of this food until you go wash up. And she literally did not serve them until they washed up and everything. So I don't know, I liked her personality, and I like that she was so close with the animals because they were just so cute and like, I don't know, a little Eliza Thornberry moment. All right, now let's get a little more deeper into this analysis. So I'm just gonna say, we have to be real. These are children's movies. Are they going to have the most depth, you know, crazy amount of like analyzing we need to do? No. Do we really need to discuss this? No. Can we discuss it for fun and just to like flex our brain power a little bit? Yeah, that's exactly what we're gonna do. To me, what I gathered from this movie is obviously there's the whole jealousy thing with the evil stepmother, right? Somebody being jealous of your light, but I think it's mainly about the battle between light and dark. Okay, so you have this girl, Snow White, who's just very sweet. She's very herself. She loves to sing. She loves to dance. She loves to be around the animals and help others. She has a very kind, empathetic personality. And then you have the stepmother, who's this like jealous, mean, evil, nasty, like just not nice person to be around. Side note, why is it always an evil stepmother? Like, what is it about Disney and evil stepmothers? Like, does everybody just have an evil stepmother? Is that like a common thing? If you have a stepmom, is she evil? Like, why is it always a stepmother that's evil? I always wondered that. But anyway, I feel like a lot of this movie was about, you know, staying true to yourself and not bending to people's evilness, no matter how hard they try to pull you in. And to me, it's a story of, you might be doing everything right. You might literally be the best person ever. You might literally be the most unproblematic, you don't rock the boat with anybody type of person, and people will still hate you and want to be you and despise you for some reason. And I think it's literally the visual representation of what it looks like for people to try to dim your light. This lady is literally making herself look so ugly. Literally, it's like a metaphor. Like, people will make themselves so ugly. They'll be so bitter. They'll say the most rude, nasty things about you and to your face, and they're literally making themselves ugly. In the movie, she's metaphorically making herself ugly, you know, with the witch spell. Really, she was beautiful herself, and it's like she needed the validation of the mirror to tell her what she looked like. She couldn't just look in the mirror and get her own validation and find her own self beautiful. She had to have somebody else tell her that, even though she was literally looking in a mirror, right? And so she sees Snow White, who's just, she's validated on her own. Like, yeah, she's a little girl, but like, she's still just doing her own thing. She's living her own life. She's happy. She's not putting others down. And that gets to the evil stepmother. That gets to her because she's like, here I am putting all my stock in this mirror and what people think about me. And then she's just being all whimsical, frolicking through the forest, making friends with these cute little animals. She has this prince that's just waiting on her. Like, what am I doing wrong? That's literally the representation of people trying to dim your light. Like, if you're trying to dim somebody's light, it's just gonna make you uglier. Like, it's not a good look. Yeah, eventually Snow White falls for the apple trick, which, by the way, another part, this is just like my own little logical thing. It's like, if you were trying to trick a little girl, why would you make yourself look so scary? Like, wouldn't you make yourself look like a sweet old granny that wouldn't hurt anybody? Like, she picked the wrong spell, but hey. So of course Snow White falls for it, and that can happen sometimes in real life, right? Like, sometimes people's darkness can get to you, and even if it gets to you, it's only momentary, because eventually you can all come out from it and go back to your beautiful, lighthearted self. Is the whole prince waking you up thing and being the whole reason why you're free type thing a little problematic? Yeah, you know what? We could talk about that. We could talk about the fact that, you know, the prince just coming in at the end, right at the nick of time, after everything's all said and done, is extremely problematic. But you know what? He was only in like 2 scenes in the whole movie. I thought for it to be like the whole Disney princess thing, like I don't remember seeing him for more than like 5 minutes of screen time. Like, his longest screen time was in the beginning of the movie when they were like singing together, but like, that's it. We barely really saw the prince, which is okay with me because like we're here to watch the princesses. But that was definitely a thing. The whole, don't worry, no matter what goes wrong in your life, a prince is gonna swoop in and save you. I think that's more so us taking that away. I don't think it's actually a child that would be watching this movie. I don't think that would be their biggest takeaway. Like, it could be, and I feel like a lot of people could draw that conclusion, but I think it's also a story of just being yourself and not letting people's negativity get to you. I think that's also another lesson you could draw from it. Can the programming, can the messaging be a little problematic when it comes to the whole prince thing at the end of the day? Yes. But I also think that, you know, I think it's okay for kids to see romance like that. Like, I don't think they're gonna think about it that way. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think about when I was a kid. Did I internalize it like, oh my god, a prince is gonna come save me one day? But I think we got lucky, like us 90s kids, like we had enough like independent woman messaging to kind of like combat that. So I don't know. I think at the end of the day, like, yes, movies, media can be responsible for, you know, propaganda and the type of messaging you're taking in, but also I think parents definitely have to step in and lead their kids in the right direction. Or not even just lead, like guide them in the right direction. Like, you can watch this stuff and you can obviously tell them this is fiction at the end of the day. Like, yeah, you're looking at these Disney princesses and you're idolizing them, but you have to remind them, like, this is fiction. This is just a story. Like, it's literally made up. And I think that kids are not intelligent. Like, they obviously know real from fake to some degree. Like, of course they play make-believe and all that type of stuff, but I think they're not as naive as we think. Like, I think it's okay for them to see something like this and they're not going to take it as deep as we would take it, as like I feel like it is that deep, but it's also not that deep at the same time. That's kind of how I feel. Like, I genuinely feel that way. I also forgot to mention when I was doing like my little historical context thing in the beginning, the people that would have been watching this movie would have been our grandparents and great-grandparents. They're being raised with very traditional values. Of course, you're gonna get the whole marriage and kids thing. Yes, for that time period, yes, of course, I think they're gonna internalize it as like, the man's gonna swoop in and save you at the end of the day, don't forget. Or like keeping that hope alive for you so that you still follow along and play the game of misogyny and capitalism and all that type of stuff, right? Being the stay-at-home mom, whatever. But I feel like for us, like if we're gonna show our kids this nowadays, I feel like they would have a better understanding of like, okay, this is just fiction. Like, I know that this is not necessarily real life, but I can still indulge in it and have fun because it's just a movie at the end of the day. But also with my parents' guidance and like them telling me the real, it's fine. Like, I don't think this movie is inherently problematic. In fact, I don't think it's problematic at all. Except for the obvious ableism when it comes to the dwarves themselves, especially Dopey. Like, that portrayal was definitely something we can question. And I don't know how I forgot to talk about that, but that was definitely on my list. I think it's just a children's movie. It's not that serious. I don't know, maybe as we get more deeper into the series, like we'll have deeper topics to discuss, but I feel like this movie is very lighthearted. Like, I don't know, you guys watched it lately? Let me know in the comments, but I feel like this movie was very lighthearted. I had a fun time. I had a whimsical, joyous time watching this film. The major takeaway for me is that it's the battle between light and dark. Don't let people dim your shine, and by trying to dim somebody else's shine, you're gonna make yourself uglier in the long run. And also, I do think it does kind of have like a sneaky little like older woman versus younger woman type of thing. Like, oh, this old hag, quote unquote, is desiring this youth because youth is the best thing ever. Like, that's why I was saying the evil queen didn't even see her own beauty because she was too busy chasing youth and chasing something else outside of herself, and she was missing all of the beauty that she already had. So I think that's very indicative of what people do in real life sometimes. So overall, I really liked this movie. I enjoyed it. I had a fun time watching it. Let me know what you guys think. Am I missing something? Is there like a big criticism or critique that I'm just like completely overlooking? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're listening to me on streaming, don't forget to download today's episode. We have 8 more movies to watch. Next up will be Cinderella. I believe that movie came out in like the 50s. So we're gonna be putting our poodle skirts on. I don't have a poodle skirt. I wish I did though. All right, I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.